Once again, we are back on Boond Soch ttalk train of thought with a series of episodes with an expert like who come from diversified industries and come and share their experience. At ttalk, we feel that the word of experience, the word of an encouragement, the word of comfort, and the word of knowledge, it goes a long way in eliminating the negativity and also shows a path like the experience if the corporates who come and share their experience so the target audience can draw meaningful learning out of it. Today in this episode we are going to talk again in terms of a financial sector, and we have with us Mr. Jasneet Bindra, who is a country head with CISI. So welcome to ttalk Boond Soch.
Absolutely pleasure to be here, sir.
Thanks a lot for spending valuable time. Now let's talk in terms of as the banking industry is going a radical shift. It's driven by the competition from an fintech, changing business model, and there is an mounting regulations and the compliance pressure and the disruptive technology which is there. The emergence of fintech, this non-bank startups, is changing the competitive landscape in the financial services, forcing the traditional institute to rethink the way they need to do a business. And that's throwing a lot of challenges even for the students and to the practitioners to cope up with the change in the technology. Hence, to address the issues and the challenges which are there in the financial services, we are having on this platform Mr. Jasneet Singh Bindra, country head of CISI, that is a Chartered Institute for Securities and Investment. Brief introduction. He had been part of the Wealth Management Advisor with Deutsche Bank and also manager with FPSB India and Assistant Vice President with CISI and now as in country head of CISI. And it's his education which course he did IMA from Belgium, MBA in Marketing and Finance. Sir, welcome once again back to this ttalk Boond Soch. A great experience and the exposure made from where you have started your career and now as in country head with CISI. Now for the benefit of a target audience, like through your journey, from you started from your education till now, and if you can share your experience with the target audience, maybe they may get inspiration to be like you,
Yeah, sure. So actually I come from a very traditional family business background, and you'll be surprised to know that I was perhaps the only child in my immediate family who once after completing the education, my graduation from Mumbai University and my post-graduation from IMA, when I said that, I want to take up a job, my family members were like, why do you want to take up a job? We have a set business and there's no need. And they probably felt that, I'll take up a job for 2 years, 3 years, and then perhaps come back to our family business, which was into logistics, right? But I was very clear, right? I think this was perhaps when I was in 11th and 12th standard. I already felt that, the family business is doing well. I have a elder brother who's already, was taking interest in the family business. I thought, I want to carve a different niche for myself. I wanted to study, and I was always very keen on finance. Although the specialization nowadays is taken at your, higher education, especially when you do an MBA, you decide which pathway you want to choose. But I always had my inclination towards numbers and finance, and I felt that, I'll probably be doing something in this sector, right? So although you mentioned I started my journey with Deutsche Bank, but I would like to also highlight after completion of my 12th standard, this is 2006 and 7, it was an era of call centers in India, which we popularly called as BPO, business process outsourcing. And during my 12th standard vacation of 3.5 months, I actually worked for a call center just to understand how the corporate culture works.
Just tell me one thing, many of the time if we see today's youth, if their father, they're having their business and they wanted to be in a comfort zone, father got a business, you only have to go and sit and run that business. But what was that one thing which triggered you, I want to do something of my own, I
think perhaps it was a challenge. There's nothing against people who join family businesses, but I perhaps felt that, I'll not be able to express myself because the base is already set and the business was doing well. And we already had help from my elder brother, to support my father. And then at that point of time, my grandfather was alive.
Mhm.
So, my grandfather, my father, my elder brother, they all were into family business.
Mhm.
And I felt that, I cannot multiply that effect.
Mhm.
And I felt that, I should, like I said earlier, I should cast a different niche for myself.
Mhm.
I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to have the corporate exposure.
Mhm.
And then I felt that, let me work for 5-6 years and then take a call.
Mhm.
Whether I want to go back to my family business or whether I want to work in a corporate sector or perhaps going forward have my own startup.
I
Right.
see.
And also on a very lighter note, people in my family and immediate family were not very good in studies. So for them, falling back into family business was always the plan.
Correct.
And I'm not saying I was a brilliant student, but I was always street smart, and
Mhm.
I got decent grades. But only when I did my higher studies, I felt that I have the knack of presenting well. I have a knack of understanding the business well, and I felt I had some ideas which perhaps could be useful only if I try and test it in a corporate world.
So it's a more self-driven, having confidence in you to scale up and.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can say that. And also, it's like, when you have a small baby, when you throw the small baby in a pool,
Mhm.
right, it will not know how to survive, but the instinct allows it to kind of, move with hands and legs
I
and
see.
starts floating, right?
Okay.
Until you don't dive into it, you
Mhm.
will not know whether, you can survive this environment or not. And I feel corporate world does prepare you for that, right?
Mhm.
You are raw. There are
Mhm.
people who are judging you, who are looking at you.
Mhm.
And I think the learning is tremendous, right?
Yeah.
And a couple of years of experience in a corporate world, I think, makes you in a very good position, stand you in a very good position, where I think then you're more clear to decide your future then.
Mhm. Tell me, like, once you got your first job, like, and you enter in your first job having a business, you have seen the wealth and the scalability also. So,
Yeah.
what was your feeling in your first job like?
Well, yeah, it always brings a smile on my face. There's a very small, funny story behind my first job.
Mhm.
It was with the call center, which I just highlighted.
Mhm.
I actually I tagged along with a friend of mine
Mhm.
who actually was applying for that job.
I
And
see.
I was not going for the job. I just went to tag along with him.
Mhm.
And he said that, and he was very keen. And,
Mhm.
he also came from a business background and he wanted to prove to his
Mhm.
parents that,
Mhm.
I can get a job, I can make money on my own.
Mhm.
And I actually just went over there to give him company.
Mhm.
And to be honest, I was not even dressed in formals.
Oh, I
I
see.
dressed casually and he was the one who was wearing proper formals.
Mhm.
And he just told me that, you're already here. So instead of just sitting,
Mhm.
why don't you also give a couple of rounds?
I see.
And I was like, yeah, maybe it's a good learning. Let me give it a shot.
Mhm.
And you'll be surprised to know he got rejected and I got selected for the job.
Okay.
And till today, he's still a friend. He still tells me that, had I not taken you for that job,
You could have.
you would have never experienced the corporate world.
Correct.
So, to answer your question, when I got the job, I'll not lie, it was more like a summer break.
Mhm.
I wanted some experience.
Mhm.
But, when you are a student, I was 17 years old,
Mhm.
your attitude still is very, raw.
Mhm.
You're not very, very serious.
Correct, correct,
And perhaps that will also resonate with your very young audience.
Mhm.
And I think I should tell them that, whether they do internships
Mhm.
or whether, they get any kind of a project from a
Mhm.
corporate,
Mhm.
I think they should take the experience and learning very seriously.
Correct.
Because what you get to learn in a practical environment
Mhm.
is something that you can never replicate with theories,
Correct.
right? So my first job, all the first couple of days, it was a little nerve-wracking
Mhm.
because the people around me were quite senior.
Mhm.
And at that point of time, the call center processes were very, very aggressive.
Mhm.
Every day there used to be like pressure on you to close
Correct.
deals.
Correct.
So high pressure work,
Mhm.
but I think that also prepares you very well.
Mhm.
Because I think sometimes people perform very well under pressure,
Mhm.
and I think I'm someone who kind of takes those challenges and kind of bring my best game. So first couple of days were tough, but then I think the training that they gave me were very helpful.
Mhm.
And as and when gradually I settled into the job,
Mhm.
and then I was able to kind of learn a lot of things. Again, it was a UK based company for which I was working,
Mhm.
so I got to learn a lot about the culture, the UK based culture,
Mhm.
how to speak in that particular accents,
Mhm.
how to understand that accents,
Mhm.
how to probably close a sale.
Mhm.
So all these things. So I think my first job.
So it
kind
means
of,
the basic fundamental of getting more insights of an corporate you got from the first job in
Yes.
BPO, like.
Yes, we can say that. Yeah,
Nice.
that exposure really helped me, and at a very young age,
Mhm.
I think it's very, very important. Whenever you get a break for a couple of months,
Nice.
this is again to the young students.
Mhm.
Instead of probably going on holidays, which again you should,
Correct.
But then if you can take up some projects or internships, I think it prepares you very well for the journey ahead.
Correct. And we are going to take your journey, like, now, in fact, you started with the first job with BPO, and as far as being more self-dependent and self-learner, like you went ahead and draw a lot of learning from there. And now being a country head of CSI, CISI, like, so if you look behind, like, which is the thing which gives you more satisfaction? Is it your current this thing as a country head of CISI, or from where you have started? Like,
so this is, I think, with everyone. Once you start the journey in a corporate world, the first 7 to 8 years of your life are quite tough. When I say tough, it means that the expectations are very high. I think it's with any field when you are trying to make a mark. I think it's both the ways. The learning is tough, but I think it teaches you a lot. I think the experience that you gain from the first initial years, it really makes you very, very, I think, smart and independent for your journey and growth ahead. So my first initial years, I think, like with anyone who will again resonate with the fact, were tough because I was trying to make a mark in the industry.
Right.
I was trying to get noticed. When I started with Deutsche Bank, it's one of the biggest investment banks in the world, right? It got so many employees all over the world. So for you to get noticed in that environment as a fresher was tough.
I think I'll just pull up that point for discussion over there. When you say to get noticed, that's the aggression, passion, that it's your action which speaks louder than the word, like,
Absolutely. I think it's ultimately your work which will speak for yourself, right? And again, going back to the same point, that initial years were tough, but then it also kind of puts you in a position which defines your journey ahead, right? You asked me that which is a better phase, like the earlier phase or the phase where I'm right now. I took charge of CISI in 2020. This is just 2 months before the pandemic struck. So me being a country head for a global chartered body, that itself was a challenge. I was faced with the world pandemic situation, the COVID situation, where everything went for a toss.
Correct.
So even these 2 years, now the markets are opening up, but even the 2 years of COVID were extremely tough, because again, we are a certification body. We upskill the corporates and students. So for us, being not being able to meet clients, we are also a body for which exams are conducted at particular centers, and those centers were shut.
Correct.
So that means you could not conduct exams. So then we migrated to a remote invigilation where people now can take the exams from wherever they are, with the laptop and a strong internet connection with a camera. Even with remote areas. So that's the kind of adaptability that we chose. That instead of just relying on test centers, we very, very soon realize the fact that we need to allow people to take the exams wherever they are, irrespective of them going. It's very similar to meeting clients in person or a Zoom meeting.
Correct.
Right. So
good, great. I think on this ttalk, Boond Soch is exclusive conversation with Mr. Jasneet Singh Bindra, who is a country head with CISI. And in fact, one thing, if you can draw learning from this, like basically wants to get noticed, more aggressive, more passionate in terms of learning. Maybe he was a part of an BPO, but there is aggression, passion to gain more and more insights as far as the skill sets which are required. Maybe I think if you look in terms of his communication skills, probably I think that was the foundation which was laid down with BPO, like.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, although that was my first ever job, but again, I took up that job because no other industry will allow a below 18 years old person to take up a job.
Correct.
And during that time, again, early 2000, there was a huge boom for BPOs. So although my first full-fledged job was with Deutsche Bank, but yeah, as you rightly said, the foundation of the communication skills perhaps were laid at my 3 months with.
One thing which is there, I think many a time we are part of a comfort zone, saying that, oh, my dad have got a business, we got a family business, and there's something what you can bank on, and you can I think be part of that journey. But he took a plunge of not getting into a business, but opted to make his own mark as far as finance field which is concerned. And today, rightly, what we could see, Mr. Jasneet Singh Bindra as a country head of CISI. And it's a good story, great story to catch up on ttalk. I'm sure if you like this particular episode, go to www.ttalk.net, subscribe, like the channel. Do catch up with Mr. Jasneet Singh Bindra in our next episode of ttalk Boond Soch ki. Till then, thank you very much. So thanks a lot for being part of the show. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank
Absolute
you.
pleasure.
Thank you.